Hello, I'm Regina McCann-Hess, President of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to our Women in Wealth series. Today, we're going to talk about choosing beneficiaries for your retirement accounts, whom you choose as a beneficiary of your retirement accounts, and how you designate each beneficiary can have a significant impact on your family. Properly designating beneficiaries as part of your retirement planning process can help you contribute to the financial well-being of your heirs, and that's going to give them more options for how they receive the money and when those assets are taxed. Now, key points we're going to discuss today. First key point is what your beneficiaries do with your retirement account assets can be as important as what you do with the assets. You may want to include them in your planning. Key point number two, beneficiaries of all types of retirement accounts are subject to required distribution rules. So it's important to understand what these rules are. And then key point number three, your legal and tax advisors can help you designate beneficiaries for a retirement account so your decision fits with your overall financial and estate plan. Now, different accounts have different rules, right? So many people saving for retirement have their assets in a mix of tax advantage retirement accounts like 401ks, 403bs, and then IRAs. While these accounts have many similar features, they are very important distinctions amongst them. One of the most critical differences involves spousal beneficiary rights. In a 401k plan, your spouse is considered your beneficiary unless they sign a waiver. This can get complicated if your spouse at the time of your death was not your spouse when you named your beneficiaries, since you may not think of asking them if they're willing to sign a waiver after you're married. The beneficiary rules for IRAs are actually governed by state law or by the IRA document. Some states protect a spouse's right to be a beneficiary, while others do not. Why is this important? Well, let's look at an example. Suppose that after his divorce, a man named his children as beneficiaries on his IRA and his 401k accounts, but neglects to change the beneficiary on his Roth IRA, and that leaves it to his ex-wife. And don't laugh because it happens. It happens more than you think. People just forget to change the beneficiaries. So a couple years later, this same gentleman, he'll remarry and then dies a short time after that. His then current wife will receive the proceeds of his 401k because she did not sign a waiver. The assets in his IRA go to his children, and his ex-wife is entitled to his Roth IRA unless state law or the IRA document says differently. But this may not be what the man intended. A situation such as this shows why it's important to conduct a full beneficiary review after any major life change, such as marriage, divorce, birth of a child, or a death of a loved one in your family. Let's talk about types of beneficiaries. Your primary beneficiaries are the people first in line to inherit an account. If they are alive when the account holder dies, these beneficiaries may choose to accept the account or disclaim it. If the beneficiaries decide to disclaim or decline the benefit, they cannot choose who will receive it instead. In a situation such as this, the account then goes to the person who would have received it if the disclaiming beneficiary had predeceased the account holder. You may also name contingent beneficiaries, and this is really a good idea. Your contingent beneficiaries will inherit your retirement account if the primary beneficiary predeceases you or disclaims the benefit. For married couples with children, it is common to name your spouse as the primary beneficiary and your children as the contingent beneficiary. Now, in order to name someone other than your spouse as the beneficiary on an ERISA qualified retirement plan, such as a 401k, guess what? The spouse needs to sign a waiver, right? We talked about that a little bit, but it's good to remind people, especially if there's a remarriage, a second marriage, whatever it is, you need that document signed. All right, let's talk about designated beneficiaries. Okay, a person or qualifying trust identified on your beneficiary form is considered a designated beneficiary. The designated beneficiaries must fully deplete the retirement account that they have inherited by the end of the year that includes the 10th anniversary of the account holder's death. An estate, a charity, and some trusts are considered non-designated beneficiaries. Now, non-designated beneficiaries must fully deplete the account that they have inherited by the end of the year that includes the 5th anniversary of the account holder's death. So you do want to, know the distinction between those two. Okay, there's also something called eligible designated beneficiaries. A disabled beneficiary, a chronically ill beneficiary, the retirement account owner's minor children, spouse, and people not more than 10 years younger than the owner are eligible designated beneficiaries and actually have different options. An eligible designated beneficiary can use their own life expectancy to calculate their annual required distribution. The owner's minor children may use their life expectancy until they reach the age of majority, and then they have to switch to the 10-year rule at that point. Let's talk about your beneficiaries options. So your beneficiaries have a choice about what to do with an inherited retirement account, and their decision will have important tax implications. Because of this, you may want to suggest that your beneficiaries talk with a legal or tax advisor before deciding on a course of action. Any beneficiary may choose to take a full distribution of the account if, of course, it's permitted under the plan, although there may be tax consequences of doing that. Distributions from traditional IRAs and qualified plans are generally taxable, so taking a complete distribution in a single tax year can create a substantial tax liability. Now, generally, distributions from a Roth IRA that is at least 5 years old are tax-free. Any beneficiary may choose to re-register an IRA as an inherited IRA or roll a lump sum distribution from a qualified retirement account into an inherited IRA. Depending on the type of IRA, who the beneficiary is, and what required minimum distribution rules may apply, this option can spread the inherited account's income tax liability over a longer period of time. Or in the case of tax-free Roth distributions, potentially result in more after-tax income than taking a lump sum withdrawal. You and your beneficiaries should actually consult your financial advisor and maybe even your tax advisor about the rules that are specific to your account. A spousal beneficiary has the option of treating an inherited IRA as his or her own. So spouses can also roll an inherited retirement account, such as a 401k, into their own IRA. Now, in both of those instances, all regular IRA distribution rules apply once the transactions are complete. The spouse's options to treat the decedent's IRA as their own do not need to be elected immediately, so the spouse could choose to re-register the account at a later time. Keep in mind that there are advantages and disadvantages to an IRA rollover, depending on the investment options, services, fees, and expenses, withdrawal options, required minimum distributions, tax treatments, and of course, your own financial needs and retirement goals. So your financial advisor or investment professional can assist in helping you determine whether or not a rollover is appropriate for you. A spousal beneficiary can leave the IRA as an inherited IRA and does not have to take the required minimum distributions until the decedent would have turned age 72. As you can see, beneficiary choices about how to deal with an inherited retirement account may have important tax implications. Heirs should always consult their legal and tax advisors before making any decisions. So in conclusion, determining the beneficiaries of your retirement assets is a crucial part of any estate plan. You want to check with your legal and tax advisors about the beneficiary options that are right for your estate planning needs. I think a good call to action today would be the first step is to review your designated beneficiaries. Make sure they align with what your thoughts are and what your plans are. Review them. And you should really review them at least once a year, but definitely review them right now. Make sure they're aligned with what your goals are, with what your estate planning needs are, and with what your wishes are written down in your will. Again, I'm Regina McCann-Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management. Thank you for joining us on the Women in Wealth series. My website is forgewealth.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Forge Wealth, and on LinkedIn, I'm Regina McCann-Hess. Go make a great day.